So I now hold the record for the shortest resume introduction in chapel, right? Not all that impressive. That's okay. And I'm okay with that for a couple of reasons. First off, all those people who've come and spoken before me, they have these beautiful resumes, made millions, started companies, did all these great things. I still have that in front of me. They're done with it. I still got something to look forward to. That's the great part of a resume. And I'm also okay with it because in my mind, and I hope you don't tune me out because of my lack of resume. In my mind, not everyone has a good message, but a good message can come from anyone. And Rashad, that's a big claim, so I'm going to support that with evidence. And I know that's big for you, so I hope you don't mind me stealing the thunder there.
See some cars, so we got to have some more evidence before you get that A.
I appreciate that. So my evidence is this. I had a brilliant professor in college, and some of you have had to sit through my class and listen to the story before. Good guy, teaching a course called Shamanism in Southeast Asia. We can talk about it later if you want, but it was weird. Anyway, so we come to class, and he's explaining things, and he's just this deep and mellow dude. And he says, first assignment, I want you to go out, and I want you to have a relationship with a tree. This guy's deep. I want you to go out, and I want you to adopt a tree, make it part of your life. Really commune with that tree, hear what it has to say to you. And I'm sitting here in the dance studio, which should have tipped me off about what kind of class this was going to be. And I thought, wow, I am not deep enough for this class. But hey, it's homework, right? So I leave class, I head out. And being the very practical person I am, I walk out to my dorm, I pick the one right outside my window and go, that's my tree. And I sit down next to it. I close my eyes, I take a deep breath, and I try to listen to what the tree has to say. And after about 45 minutes of getting a sunburn, I go back inside angry because obviously the tree is giving me the cold shoulder. I have no idea what the tree is saying to me. And it was a waste of my time, I thought. So I went to see my professor and said, hey, I don't think I quite get what you want out of this. Do you have some advice on how I have a relationship with a tree? He says, man, you just gotta spend time with the tree. You gotta sit there. You gotta feel the tree. You gotta listen to the tree. You gotta smell the tree. I'm like, wow, man, that's deep. So, committed to getting my homework done and not doing poorly in a class called Shamanism in Southeast Asia, I head back out to this tree. And this time I sit next to it so I can feel the bark of the tree. It's rough. Okay. Feeling the tree. Nothing. Alright. Smell the tree. Okay, it smells a lot like I'm on the ground and it's dirty. Nothing. So I lean up against the tree, figure more body contact, more surface area for some sort of osmosis or diffusion of information between the tree and nothing. And I'm like, okay, I got it. I figured it out. I am not on the tree's level. So, again, practical. I grab the lowest limb and pull myself up into the tree and sit on the branch. I take another deep breath and close my eyes, and I listen as hard as I can to the tree. And then this very wise, deep voice, I hear, son? And it's going off in my head, oh my God, I'm talking to a tree. I am the tree whisperer. This is phenomenal. And I'm all excited, and it speaks to me again. Son, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Well, then you're going to have to get out of that damn tree, son. And I look down, and of course, there's a Bowdoin College security officer sitting there saying, son, we don't do that on campus. And I climb down out of the tree, I make the realization that maybe the resume didn't match with the message because in the first week of my junior year, I almost got sent to the dean's office on campus and reprimanded for climbing trees on the quad. Now, conversely, because I acknowledge my opposition as well, Michelle, a good message can come from anyone. You see, I have a 3-year-old. His name is Huck. Yes, that's right, Huck. Bear with me. And I was giving him a tub last week because he, A, loves tub time, and B, hates tub time, which is usually the life of a 3-year-old. And I'm feeling rather frazzled because tub time for a 3-year-old usually includes splashing me with water constantly. And as I'm trying to wrap him up in his froggy blanket, which has 2 big eyes on its hood on the top, it's one of his favorite things in the world, the froggy blanket. And as I pick him up, I know I'm frustrated and harried and soaking wet. And he looks at me and he tilts his head and he goes, Daddy, are you happy? Yeah, my bad, you're right, I am happy. And his message was far more powerful, far more insightful than my resume professor. Now, he doesn't have all the credentials, but his message was good. Are you happy? And the reason I was okay with it, and I can deal with that, is that in my mind, that resume, that background, that introduction, those are just words that describe me. None of it defines me. I'm not defined by those things. I choose what defines me. And I grab onto those things that help influence the decisions I make. Definition is important to me. So what I want to talk about then are what defines us, or defines you, or defines me. And I hope at some point you don't mind sharing some. Because the people that I admire in my life are the people who I look at and I say, man, they got it right. They have something that defines them, that drives them. They have a core philosophy. Examples again. Up all the way in the back of the chapel, in the very last row, in a folding seat, is Miss Dutton. Some of you know Miss Dutton. I admire Miss Dutton because the next time I see her without a smile on her face will be the very first time I've ever seen her without a smile on her face. And she's an undefeated optimist. And conveniently enough, sitting next to her is always Miss Roderick, who's one of the top 2 nicest people I have ever met in my entire life. And the second person on that list is Miss Katasi. And whenever I get into a conversation with either of those people and talk to them, and I give them some good news from my life or from whatever, I can't help but escape the feeling that they're happier for me than I am for me. Because they define themselves by the joy they take in those around them. I admire Coach Franklin. Because Coach Franklin is one of the most driven people I've ever met. He has goals, and he doesn't let today get in the way of that goal he has for tomorrow. The man exerts such self-control, I've never heard Coach Franklin swear. Ever. Coach Franklin, I admire that about you. I admire Miss Shute because she's defined by her empathy. And she's driven, she's committed, she shares that with students every single day. She wants the world to be a more empathetic place. And doesn't let things get in the way of that. I admire Joe Manning. Joe, I hope you don't mind me calling you out like that. But I admire Joe Manning because he's had that moment in his life where he's reflected and understood what life really means. He's had that moment of realization. He's had that epiphany. Joe almost lost someone very close to him. Someone that meant the world to him. And Joe realized something in that moment. He realized that he was defined by the term son. And that meant the world to him. And that term itself makes Joe the toughest and most loyal person I know. I mean, Joe's one of these guys that when I think about it, I said, you know, if I turned to him and said, Joe, we're going to go take the gates of hell, and we're going to do it by force. One, Joe would go, okay, do you want to leave now or later? And after getting there, because I know if I go anywhere with Joe Manning, we get there. Nothing going to stop us. And we'd be sitting there in the fire and the brimstone, and I'd be sweating to death. Joe would turn to me and laugh and go, Coach, I thought you said it was going to be hot. Because that's Joe Manning. Nothing gets in his way. He can't be put down by that because he's defined by that relationship. He understands the beauty in life. Now, he's not here, so I'm going to talk about him even though he's not, and I hope he didn't mind. I admire Joe Daly. Because let's be honest, we all admire Joe Daly. It's just kind of one of those things that happens around here. I mean, he was my inspiration to do a CHED. He sat here and he talked to you about what it meant to be a warrior. And think about how he defined that. It's about living for a purpose greater than yourself. Living for others. Doing things because they're right. And I can't think of anybody who does more to make the lives of people around him better. I mean, think about this. He doesn't let anything stop him. And I'm pretty sure that includes bullets. But Joe Daly, through sheer force of will, trained his truck to make the exact same noise that he does. And you know it, you've heard it around campus. It makes the exact same noise. Joe Daly is so wise and so knowledgeable about the world that he refuses to use Twitter. because 7 billion followers would definitely crash the servers. And Joe Daly is so committed to making people's lives around him better that I've sat in that truck while it made the noise that he makes. In my driveway at 11 o'clock at night, for an hour after we got done some tough day of checking in this or closing up that or whatever it was, when I know he's got a billion things he wants to do. He wants to go hop on an email, check on one of his boys who's serving overseas. I know he wants to go see his girlfriend. I know he might actually want to sleep in something like his bed instead of just a chair during study hall. I know he wants to do those things, but Joe Daly cares enough about me and putting other people's in front of his own needs that he sat with me for an hour because I was having trouble being a parent. Like, I was struggling with my kids, and Joe sat there and mentored me about being a father and helped me. And that's why I admire Joe Daly. They have these things about them, these definitions of who they are, that are so important to them that they drive their lives. And I admire that. I envy that. I really envy. I want you to think about what it is that defines you, not describes you. You know, I know Will Jennings has great hair, but that's just a description. I know Chris Spada can rock a mustache, but again, just a description. I know I'm 6 feet tall and I have the hair of Mary Tyler Moore, and I'm okay with that. It's all right. It's just a description. I have an odd fascination with men's facial hair, historically, and in the present as well. I mean, I love what Coach Sal has done with the Fu Manchu. And as a side note, believe me, my classes devolve into side note upon tangent. I have this thing about facial hair. The last president who had facial hair was William Howard Taft in 1913. Do you know how much that pains me? That's way too long to be shut out from the White House. So I make a pledge to you right now, before you, that the next presidential candidate, Republican or Democrat, man or woman who has facial hair, goatee, mutton chops, something gets my vote on principle alone. Bring facial hair back to the White House. I appreciate that. Okay, so how do you then create a definition? So again, let's talk about practical applications of this. I am so very lucky to coach football here, and defense at that. Which means that, okay, good to hear some of you guys made the chapel today. It also means that I get to work with a very peculiar breed of human beings who like to take running starts and run into other very large human beings. Right, James? Yeah. But it's okay, because as Seamus would tell you, as Joe would tell you, as Pete would tell you, I may have a few screws loose myself, and these guys make sense to me. So, I get to coach defense. And as defensive players, we wear the black practice jerseys. And as Tom would tell you, those don't always smell very good. But the black practice jerseys become part of who we are and how we identify ourselves. Because defense in football is like defense in anything else. It's about being in the right spot, knowing what to do, and working together. And if you don't do those things, you give up a lot of points. And the offense gets mad at you. So we as a defense need some sort of definition of self. Something that we need that holds us together. So we call ourselves the black shirts. Or BAD, which is conveniently spelled bad, because we're the BAD. That's right. We're the black shirts. And we take pride in that. And you have to earn your black shirt. And we might take it a little far because we refuse to stand next to the offense on the sidelines because we don't want to catch offense. So we stay away from those guys. You chuckle, but it's actually true. We might take it a little bit far, but that's okay. Now, to ensure that we know our identity and that we have that cohesion, I always ask 3 little questions. Right, Peter? Always do. Now, the first little question I ask has to do with how we're connected to each other and what we take pride in. The second time I ask it because I want that pride to come out and I want everyone else to know what we're proud of and what we take pride in. And the third question I always ask them to remind us of our commitment and our responsibilities to each other, not just on the field, but beyond that. Now, we're the BAD. There are not a whole lot of us, and we took pride in that too. We were a select group. We created that mentality for ourselves. But I think a few of you here, right? Pete's here. Tim, did you make the chapel today? Jess? Oh, Timmy. Thanks, brother. Jess, you here? Pat, I see you. Joe? Shane? Hanging in? Garrett? Tommy hiding back there?
Easy.
No? Not yet? Check. Devin? You used to be honorary member, you know that. You played enough defense. JVD, you're here. Jarrett Rowe? Did you make it today? Yeah, all right. Jared Casey? Now, we don't have large numbers, but I was just thinking maybe, as part of sharing this with these guys and everybody in the audience, that we can make up with enthusiasm for what we lack in numbers. You okay with it? You know how this goes, right? Who are we?
Yeah.
Who are we? Yeah. Wolverine! What is your profession?
Oh.
May we remember a little about ourselves. Now I love that, just like Pete loves that. I get chills every time we do it. Just makes me feel so good. I want to go outside and like run into another large human being. It's crazy. We get all fired up about that kind of thing. But that's it, man. It's who we are. It's what we're proud of. It's the commitment we have to community that defines us as a defense. And that's a little bit of fun. So now I want to know, and hopefully you've been thinking, or hopefully not too distracted by the crazy guy on stage speaking, to come up with your own definitions. Or to think of what it is, what one word you'd say describes, no, not describes. What one word defines who you are. And I understand, I'm a very complex person, Mr. Dube, I need more than one word. That's wonderful. And you feel free to find me at any point during the day, come up to me and tell me about those words, and we'll celebrate that together. Because once you find that definition, it's an important, beautiful moment. But I was hoping, if you're willing, some of you might be willing to share what defines you. And I got a little activity that works with this, and that's the teacher and me trying to sneak out. What I want to do, because definition is about ownership of it. So, when I think of I am a father, okay? To two very quirkily named boys, Wolf and Huck. And I understand that they're quirky names, but I also had a big hand in like helping with those, so, you know, point the fingers back at me, right? I'm a father. And Wolf had a lot of trouble going to sleep when he was a little kid, right? And nothing would soothe him until we finally hit on this whole idea, and those of you who are parents in the crowd know this one, right? It's you put him in the arms, and then you gotta rock back and forth as you walk around the house. You get the shuffle going, right? There it is, okay? And that was the only thing that would put him to sleep. I'm so sorry, Mr. Hunt. It'll go away, I swear. You know this, you have Sam too. And so, Wolf needed that. It's okay. I became a championship house walker. And by the time we moved out of our first house, there was this really racetrack looking pattern on our hardwood floors from a lot of good laps we put in putting Wolf to sleep. And then he changed and evolved, and he was now a rocking chair kid. I can't tell you how relieved I was that we had a rocking chair now, and I could sit while I put him to sleep instead of walk. My daily caloric intake got screwy, but it's okay. But I learned how to like sing and rock in rhythm, because that's the big one, right, John?
Huge.
It's huge. If you can sing in the same rhythm that you're rocking, it puts them to sleep instantly. And it also means that I can now recite Casey at the Bat from memory with only minor fabrications. And so we did that. And then he evolved again, and he lays down in the bed, but his name is Wolf. He is a social animal. He has a pack mentality. So now, I lay down in a twin-size bed, half hanging out of it, terribly uncomfortable, with an overgrown 4-year-old, when I've got things to do like grade papers, prep class, get ready for whatever Brown's going to throw at us offensively, and I lay there, and I hold him, and I hug him, because he's my boy, because I do anything to protect him. Because one day he's going to grow up and be 16, 17, 18 years old, he's going to have all the answers in the world. And he's not going to need me to hold him anymore. So I got to sneak in my hugs when I can. That means laying uncomfortably in a bed. That's what it means. Because being a father is what defines me. My decisions are based on that definition. I'm also a husband, right? And I am, honestly, madly, and head over heels in love with my wife. And I'm cool with that. I enjoy that. We've been together since we were 16 years old. I grew into an adult with that relationship defining me. So husband defines me. And finally, and probably most annoyingly, I'm a teacher by definition. Teacher defines me. And it's got to be the most annoying thing in the world to any of you who get into a discussion with me. Because I want to teach all the time. It's not just something I do in my classroom or on the football field. I want to teach constantly. So poor Derek gets into a conversation with me, and I wake up halfway through realizing that I've launched into a lecture about the information in my head so that he can understand and I can understand, and we can have a better discussion. And Derek's just smiling and nodding, going, okay, coach, great, thank you. And maybe he avoids me next time, but I can't help it, I teach, it's my definition. And I don't want you to get confused. It's not that my job defines me. It's that I'm lucky enough to do a job that fits with who I am. And like Mark Twain said, when you make your vocation your vacation, dude, you solve the secret of life. So, now have you had enough time to think about what defines you? Maybe a little bit? So, here's our little activity today. Bear with me. I'm going to say, I am. I'll call on whatever hand comes up. Your response is 3 words. I am, and whatever it is that defines you. Then maybe I'll give you a clap, and we'll move on to the next guy. I am. Is everyone okay with the procedures? Not too complex? Is anyone feeling daring like they might actually jump up and say, hey, what defines me? Maybe, maybe. I know I can do the counting. I always count. I am.
I am enthusiasm.
I am. Who's out right with me? Come on.
My home. My home.
You are your home. I am. Don't leave me hanging. Come on. What defines you? What is it you take pride in? What influences your decisions? Michelle.
I'm caring.
You are indeed, madam. Beautiful. Anybody else want to play? I am.
I am devoted.
Yes, you are. And it's beautiful when you find those definitions for yourself. Okay, you didn't want to share in chapel. That's fine. I'm fairly easy to find on campus and easily recognized. Come find me. Tell me what defines you. And we'll share that moment. And we'll celebrate. Now, Chris, as you know, we're at that point in class where we devolve into story time, right? It's kind of a universal thing. It happens. I like to talk about life. Now, and sometimes it just takes a minute or two. But sometimes in class, it takes us the rest of class. Depends on how good the story is, right? Yeah. Chris is my guy that goes, Mr. Dube, we were supposed to leave 5 or 6 minutes ago. Can we go now? Yes, Chris, you guys keep going. I appreciate it. My home. So, I have 2 stories about that. Because, again, it helps me think about this idea of definition. Now, in college, I hadn't quite figured out how to define myself yet. So I thought of myself in terms of the activities I participated in. Football, baseball, school. Okay. Those things were important to me. I loved playing football. Again, I told you I had to screw it 2 weeks, right? I loved playing football. It was part of what I thought of as myself. And real committed. My decisions were based on that. So I come in, my freshman year, 6 feet, 245. I'm a college football player. I'm going to be a highlight. I'm a defensive end, outside linebacker type. I'm fast enough to go chase down a pass. I'm strong enough to hold up against the run. I'm like feeling great about myself. And we go. We have our first practice of college football. And we do it. We install. I'm feeling good. This is all going well. We come back the next day. And in the morning, we do 40-yard dashes, electronically timed with a timer pad and a brake line at the end. And we do some more testing, and I come back to practice that night, and my name is moved from that list of outside linebackers of excellent athletes over 1 spot to the defensive ends who don't do that pass coverage running thing as much. It's not part of their job descriptions. And, okay, all right, fine. So we go to practice, and we install some more. We're still in shirt and shorts and doing our thing. I'm understanding the defense. And then we do bench press and 300-yard shuttles and body fat percentage measuring, which was very uncomfortable. I come back to practice the next morning, and my name has migrated again over to the nose tackle section. Pete sympathizes with me because he had a similar thing happen to him this year. You just sort of devolve and feel less and less like a football player, but it's okay. I still get to play football. Except that I'm going against guys who all have me by 20 pounds at least in the interior part of this offensive line. And listen, we were not by any means, and Coach Hinman will tell you this, we were not world beaters at Bowdoin in football. Not our MO. We were about to go 0-8 that year. I didn't know it yet, but we were. So it wasn't like there were a bunch of all-conference offensive linemen standing across from me, and I was getting mauled every day in practice. I had never been down, my hand in the ground, having a center and guard punch me and hit me every single play. It just wasn't part of my experience. So I got beat up for week after week after week. And we get to week 7, we're prepping for Bates. And I have my very best and my very worst day of college football ever. We're in full team drill, full contact, everything's going good. And I'm taking reps with the third team defense against the first team offense. We're giving them a look. Now, the fact that I was on the third team defense as the third team nose tackle was a miracle because there were only 2 nose tackles. And the first team nose tackle took all the reps with the first team and the second team, and then I got to get on the field. And by on the field, I mean on the practice field. So, go out there, line up across from the center, and we're running drills. And we're just trying to give a look. The offense is prepping, getting ready for our opponent. And so I line up in my 3-point stance, and the center heads off this way. And my job is to chase him, kinda. I want to be in that gap before the guard comes down and knocks me flat on my butt and embarrasses me on film. My job not to have that happen. So by some absolute combination of the fates, I actually slide through there by mistake. And I'm in the backfield, and I haven't been touched yet. I swear the guard must have gone the wrong way. I'm running free. And the quarterback dropping back to pass right in front of me. He's got that big red jersey on, the no touchy jersey. You guys seen that one before, right? Don't touch the QB. Can't do that. He's off limits. And he's dropping back and he's looking at me. He's leading me in. And I got a full head of steam and I'm excited. Now remember, my 40 time's not that good, so this took a while to develop. And I'm chugging in after him. I'm gonna get it, because he's not even evasive. He's not going side to side. He's going straight back. And then he sticks the ball out. Oh my God, I'm getting a handoff. This is the greatest moment of any nose tackle ever. I'm feeling so good about life. And behind him is the running back waiting. He's waiting for draw. They're gonna fake a pass and hand off on a run. But he can't see me because I'm on the other side of the quarterback. Coming down the pipe, full speed, and the quarterback turns and peels and sets the ball right there. And the tailback takes the handoff down over it. And me, with all of my 5.7 second 40 speed, go running right up over the top of him. I mean, it's the hit of my life. I'm feeling amazing inside. His helmet is like in my chest plate as I land on top of him and skid down off to the side. And then all of a sudden the scene from The Waterboy breaks out. Slap hands! Slap hands! Somebody's my friend! And I'm feeling so good about life. It's my best moment in college football. And the whistle blows and practice stops. And coach comes walking out and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be good. I'm so excited. And then he fires his clipboard 30 feet in the air and it shatters when it hits the ground. And I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't going to be good at all. Now, there were about 60 of us on the football field at that time, including coaches. And practice is entirely stopped to look at the large man walking onto the field who is blowing the whistle, who's walking toward me. And he walks out there, puts his hand on his hips and fires his whistle back around his neck. And he looks at the offense with hate and fire in his eyes and screams. And I mean screams. There was no throaty bass in this. It was all high-pitched anger. What the hell's going on out here? And okay, I've heard that kind of language before. But what happened next threw me off. And he looks directly at me and he points the finger and he says, Travis Dube can't make that play! And I was crushed, right? Because what had been part of my definition was impeded upon by someone else. They took something I loved and made me feel bad about it. Now, looking back and trying to give the man the benefit of the doubt, I think what he was trying to say in his own way, and again, ask Mr. Hinman, he had his own way of saying things. I think what he was trying to say is that 48 hours from kickoff against our rival Bates, the first team offense can't get dropped for a 7-yard loss by the third team defense. Instead, What he said was, son, I do not value you as a human being or a football player, and you suck. I didn't understand enough about what that definition was, about what defined me to look at that and go, that's motivation, I'm going to be better. I love football and no one's going to make me feel bad about it. Instead, I was crushed, man. It was gone. Football, I had no motivation for it. I didn't want to do it anymore. And so we get through the season, we have our end-of-the-year meetings, and he has a meeting with each of the guys, and I'm sitting there listening to the meeting, one-on-one, thinking, I don't want to play football anymore. And he's like, yeah, you know, you're a little undersized right now. I'm like, yeah, it's because I'm not a nose tackle. And he goes, really like to see you put on 20, 25 more pounds of good weight. Now listen, I'm a history major, but I can still add. Oh my God! And I'm looking at, Coach, that's just not a good look for me. I choose life. And so, I stopped playing football after 1 year of college. And I've regretted it every day since. Because I let that guy take something that I love to do, and I let him take it away from me and make me feel bad about it. So that's a responsibility that we have to the people we care about. They have dreams, they have definitions, even if they don't know what they are yet. And we can't step on those. And we can't, and you can't, and I can't. We can't go out and make people feel bad about what they love to do. Because sit there, ask yourself, would you still do what you love to do if you weren't any good at it? If you love hockey and it's the thing that defines you, but you're not a good hockey player, would you still play? Would you still do it for the love of the game? Don't step on other people's dreams that way. Be careful. Be empathetic to the people that are around who mean something to you. Which, again, leads me into my last story. The other one. So, you've heard about my freshman year in football. You've heard about my junior year in a tree. It was tough. Now, my sophomore year. And I'm sorry if this is all about me, but I'm the only one on stage, so I think I get to talk about me for a while. I'm in a class, and this story's a little harder to tell, and I hope you bear with me for a minute. And I know we've been in chapel. I just heard the chapel creak. We've been here for a while, my butt's starting to hurt. I understand that, I'll be quick. But it's a different kind of story, so take a deep breath and hang along with me for just a minute. So I'm in a class called Magic, Mysteries, and Monuments in Greece. Yes, Bowdoin had the weirdest class titles in America, but you dealt with it. The woman's name was Irene Polinskaya. She speaks with heavily accented English, very Russian. And she walks into class maybe 2 weeks into the school year. We're sitting there in class, uncomfortable seats, you know, the one with little flap down things on the side, which never seem to be big enough in either way for anyone to sit in. And she kind of walks in and says, I had an accident today, huh? You guys had a plane hit a tower in New York. Like, wow, because, you know, this is before smartphones and all of us scrolling through and widespread Wi-Fi. She's like, wow, that sucks. None of us had heard of it. So I leave Magic, Mysteries, and Monuments in Greece, and I head off to a class called Archaeology of the Hellenistic. Yes, I am a history nerd, and that's okay. And I sit down with a man named James Higginbotham, and the man was brilliant. And he actually said things that made sense versus the tree guy. And he'd literally lecture for 90 minutes with a card with 3 words written on it, and be awesome and entertaining. And he comes in, and he had reddish, blondish hair, and something was different, because he's one of these guys who's like zest for life, the enthusiastic kind of guys, which is what made him so much fun to have in class. And it's not there. It's not going like he usually does. There's no slides up on the projector. And he says to us, there's been a tragedy in New York. If any of you have family, you got to go check on them. If anybody's from that area, go. The things I'm going to say in class don't matter today. They don't. So make sure everybody's okay in your life. Go take care of the people you care about. And we're all like, oh my God, what happened? And so we head out and we find out about 9/11. It's the loneliest feeling in the world. It is. We're so separated from each other because of the uncertainty around us. And it's disheartening. as it was for all of us. And whether you want to think about us as being from the same generation or not, that event left its big mark on our generation. It's what we all remember. You weren't very old, but you remember exactly where you were, don't you? You know what happened that day. You know where you were. You can tell me about those details. You know that. And so we go and they rolled TVs out everywhere, like TVs I didn't know we had. Start rolling out and showing in like dorm hallways and in the dining hall. And we're watching round-the-clock coverage, just like everybody else is. And then it comes out that they're gonna have just a logistical meeting in the gym, big gym on campus. And so we pile into the gym. There's gotta be like 1,300 of us in the gym. And they start talking logistics. You know, a dean gets up in Great Life and they talk about how to get in touch with family members. Listen, the phone lines are down. This is what's going on. And they talk about any sort of emergency contingency plans that we've got in case this is just the first event. And they're going through all the logistics. And again, we're all starting to feel less and less good. But the riskiest, most powerful, best thing they did was at the end, they opened the mic. And they let us talk. And they let us walk up on stage in front of everybody. And we get to talk about what we were feeling, about what we were going through, how we were connected to each other. And the first guy that hops up on stage talks about how Bowdoin's been the biggest family he's ever had. And he had family from New York. And it meant something to him that everyone asked him, "Are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help you out?" And how connected to all of us he felt. It was feel better. And he walks up and people come on. And finally, she's a junior and she walks up. She's wearing her headdress and her full-length gown. She says, "I'm a Muslim and I'm from Pakistan. And the thing you all have to remember," and she breaks down and she's crying, is that this was done by terrorists. It was a terrorist act. And you've got to understand that. Everybody claps. It is. It brings you together. And then I recognize a guy, he's a senior. He's one of our big guys in the music program. And, you know, I know him casually. He's a funny, quirky kind of guy, a little bit different. And he gets up on the stage and he says, "I'm not very good at sort of summing up feelings, which is why I have music. And I was hoping, if it's okay with everybody, if we could hold hands and sing Kumbaya." And I understand how cliche that sounds. I do. Because at any other point in my life, except for that moment, I would have been like, "We're gonna do what?" But instead, I feel a hand from my left grab onto mine, and I look, and the person who's grabbed my hand is looking at it. Okay, and so I turn and I grab the hand of the person on my right. And all 1,300 of us mumble our way through Kumbaya because none of us know any of the other words besides Kumbaya. But suddenly we're a community. And suddenly we care about each other. And I swear I'm building to a point. It just takes me a while to get there. I like the long way around. A month or two later, whatever, sitting, watching Comedy Central, stand-up comic on. He's doing great, he's killing it. It's awesome. It turns out to be Carlos Mencia, I find out later, because he didn't have a show yet, and he was just doing his stand-up routine. And then he stops abruptly, near the end. And he sort of shakes his head and he says, "Listen, I can't give this up. I can't keep making light when there's something bothering me." And I don't know if he's planned it, but he goes off script, it seems like. He says, "Listen, things that happen in New York, man, you got to sit back and look at life and take stock for a minute. Think about what's important and the people that matter to you. Because that's all that life is the people that matter to you." And he says, "Let's think about this. We're human beings. We're social beings. We're social beings, but we're social creatures of conflict. We seem to argue about everything. Oh, politics, Republican and Democrat, liberal, conservative. We argue about up and down if we can. We argue, it's what defines us, it's conflict. We argue about stupid things that get in the way." And we've all been in that situation, right? We've argued about something stupid. And he says, "Just picture yourself. Think about it. How many times have you come home from a long day and you get there and your spouse, your mother, your father, your parent, your brother, your sister, whoever, they had a long day too, but man, they throw dinner on the table and it's macaroni and cheese. And you sit down after your long day. You're so busy, your life's so hard. All those things that life's scheming against you, man. And you sit down and you're like, great, macaroni and cheese again, huh? And they on the other side, end of their nerve, say, yeah, you want to make it next time? And you start bickering about something stupid, like macaroni and cheese. Are you really arguing about dairy product and wheat pressed into a small form? No, you are. You are arguing about those things. Because it launches into who does the laundry, and who does the dishes, and who's busier, who works harder, whose life is more difficult. And you bicker, and you argue, and you don't let it go. And you know what? You go to bed that night, you haven't said sorry, you haven't told them, you haven't talked to them yet, because you were right. And you've got the moral high ground, man. You're not going to give that up. We all do that. We've all held on to things we shouldn't, because we don't have enough perspective in the moment. He says, you go to bed that night, and again, this isn't mine, this is Carlos Mancini's. He does a great job, much better than I do with it. And he says, you are right, so you hold it. You don't let that go. You wake up the next day, and you are so right, you're not going to talk to that person until they acknowledge that, yeah, you're the one who's right. And you head off to school, to whatever it is you're doing, to work, whatever it is that day. And you head out knowing that you're right, letting that anger fester in you, not being able to give it up, not being able to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, or I love you. Any of those things. You're not able to say that because you were right. Now let's change the picture a little bit. Now let's think that you've gone off that day. You're on the 75th tower, 75th floor of that first tower. And that plane hits. And tomorrow's not guaranteed to you anymore. And the only thing that you're going to want to do when you're in that spot, and you're not kidding now, the only thing you want to do is pick up a phone and call the people that you love and care about and tell them one last time that you love them. And maybe you get to. Maybe you're one of the fortunate people who does. But maybe you're not. You got to tell the people in your lives that you love them because you don't know when the next time is. When's that next opportunity? It may never come. I don't leave my house anytime without telling my wife and kids that I love them. Because I don't know. Tomorrow's not guaranteed to any of us. And that's the thing, man. Once you're comfortable enough in defining yourself, let the little stuff go. Tell the people you care about that you love them. Because if you don't, you might not get that chance again. I've taken up way too much of your time, so thank you.